Our reading this morning is from the book by Godfrey Ray King, The Magic Presence, in which he wrote, "My impression of Rayborn was very pleasant, for his whole attitude was one of harmony and kindness. And at the same time, I felt that he was a man of strong character with a keen sense of honor. He had a finely shaped head, classic features, iron gray hair, and clear, piercing blue-gray eyes. He stood very erect and was fully 6 feet 2 inches in height. The day after they met, Godfrey accompanied Daniel to his Diamond K Ranch in Wyoming, where one of Daniel's mining properties. Godfrey remarked that he had never seen so fine a camp of men. At the Diamond K Ranch, Godfrey met Daniel's 2 children, his 18-year-old son Rex and his 16-year-old daughter Nada. Rex was a tall, splendid, good-looking young man with abundant light brown wavy hair and piercing violet blue eyes. The daughter, Nada, was a strikingly beautiful girl with a strange sort of old-world dignity and grace and deep blue eyes. There was a certain charm about all of the Rayborns, which everyone felt immediately. Rex and Nada had remarkable singing voices, and they performed for Godfrey after dinner one night. That evening, young Nada told Godfrey about her mother, whose name was also Nada. And as you all know, neither of these Nadas is the Nada who is a Chohan of the 6th Ray. Young Nada explained, "Saint Germain first came to my mother at the beginning of her career in grand opera, when she suffered from extreme stage fright. The master touched her forehead with the fingers of his right hand. Instantly, she was calm and was able to perform well. Saint Germain told her of the man she was to marry and of her future children. He came often and taught her cosmic laws that she was able to apply with success. He later told her that she had work to do at inner levels, but he would always care for her children. Father, Saint Germain said, was not sufficiently awakened to be told of the higher law until about a year ago, when Saint Germain came to him. After dinner the next evening, Daniel Rayborn met with Godfrey, Rex, and Nada. He told them that Saint Germain had awakened him at 4 a.m. that morning and had taught him for at least 2 hours. Saint Germain revealed to him that he would soon make his ascension. A few days later, the master spent 3 days with all of them at the Cave of Symbols. This retreat was very near the Rayborn Ranch. He gave them a tour of the retreat and showed them marvelous inventions, including a device called the Atomic Accelerator. Saint Germain asked Daniel Rayborn to sit in the Atomic Accelerator, and as he sat in a special chair, the light within Rayborn's body began to increase, and his face revealed great joy. Within the light around him were particles of substance continually rising as the impurities in his physical body were thrown off and consumed. This lasted about 10 minutes. Then his hair gradually returned to its natural color, a dark brown, and his face became radiant and youthful. The light within the chair gradually disappeared, and the laboratory was again as usual. Saint Germain extended his hand to Mr. Rayborn, and he stepped down lightly, as if scarcely conscious of any weight. For more than an hour, the radiance about his face and the brilliant light within his eyes was most remarkable. The next day, Rayborn once again sat in the Atomic Accelerator. He arose and stepped forth from the chair, and as he did so, he seemed to float rather than walk. Saint Germain said that 1 year from that day, on July 28, 1931, they would all meet again in the Cave of Symbols, where Daniel Rayborn would make his ascension. End of reading. Sana Kumara explained that the Freedom Class of 1968, "I am going to try an experiment tonight for everyone who has enough faith in their own divine presence to accept it. Now then, in memory of that magnificent release of the atomic accelerator, we have secured a dispensation whereby 3% of the energy of the atomic accelerator can be given permanently to every life stream here who has made the call and has the faith. And we are going to invoke it in the very chair in which you sit, so that the power of that flame will pass up through your flesh form, through your finer vehicles, and enter into your consciousness to give you a release from the subtleties of mortal thought and feeling, and permit you to realize the reality of your God, Tai, not only now, but for all time to come, so long as you shall not break the covenant of Asha. But you must open the door and ask that you may receive that which we desire to do for you. We now are going to have our guided visualization to You are drawn into the etheric octave by the gentle radiance of the great Master Saint Germain. You can now easily project yourself to the cave of symbols, simply by setting that intention. His purple fiery heart reaching out to your heart is creating a roadmap. Your destination now comes into view, Table Mountain. As you approach from above in your finer bodies, you're able to hone in on the Cave of Symbols retreat as your inner guidance enables you to see a large profile of the Master's face on the side of the mountain. A pathway of light opens before your feet. You are guided toward the foot of the great rocky promontory, where the face of the rock suddenly glows with celestial radiance, drawing you to the entryway. As you approach, the great door swings back, and you see a great light being waiting at the entrance of the Cave of Symbols. She is dressed in a deep emerald green and white linen robe, embroidered with hieroglyphs, representing not so much a priestly order as much as a scientific one. Her hair comes down to her shoulders and is striking gold. Her eyes a brilliant blue. She embraces you warmly, saying, "I am Lady Master Leonora, patroness of science and invention. I work directly with Saint Germain here in his Cave of Symbols. We oversee the release of inventions and the correct knowledge for their use, with the aim of providing the protection of all that our nations need through the government and armed services. I am to be your guide this day. Now please follow me." You walk down a long corridor that leads to a cavern 60 feet across. You stand perfectly still, mesmerized by the cavern's wondrous beauty. The ceiling is covered with stalactites of iridescent rainbow hues that form occult symbols in divine geometry. The cave derives its name from these symbols. Leonora explains that the occult symbols release a special frequency of phohatic energy that has a most significant influence upon the American people, bringing to them the remembrance of their lost inheritance and the higher consciousness of the matrix of the golden age to come. Leonora motions you to follow. You walk together through a 30-foot-high archway that leads to an immense vaulted chamber at least 200 feet across. On the opposite wall, there are 3 arches, spaced 20 feet apart. The first, a deep rose. The second, a penetrating white. And the third, a cobalt blue. Leonora leads you to the center archway. She raises her right hand, and the entrance opens at her command. A soft white light emerges from a long tunnel. After walking several hundred feet,
You enter into a chamber of about 60 feet in diameter that has 12 sides with a domed ceiling above. On the walls there are more ancient symbols. The Lady Master explains that these symbols are hieroglyphs that record the entire history of the planet, as well as the history of freedom. In this wing of the retreat, there are housed many different types of advanced scientific laboratories, such as chemical and electrical laboratories, where scientists are perfecting formulas and inventions. Now let us go to the radio chamber. Friends are awaiting us there.
As you stand,
You enter a large laboratory where there are 3 ladies and 3 gentlemen, all wearing deep purple scientific lab coats. Lenora shows you a fantastic radio she invested. This perfected radio was the result of 7 embodiments, she explains. During these embodiments, I was blessed with the gift of consecutive
brother, and I do come with a great love
carrying
in
the
my
memory
heart.
of one life.
I have come to claim your soul and the fires
This
of your
perfected
heart, and the
radio,
victory of
Leonora
the Aquarian
continues,
age.
has 3
I am your
basic
teacher if you will have me.
On high,
What do you say?
it reaches other planets in our solar
Yes.
system, such as Venus.
Our beloved
Set
Master
to
leads the
medium,
way to
it
the very
reaches
center
anywhere
of
on
the
our
audience
planet
chamber.
Earth, including
Saint
those
Germain
cities
raises
and
his
retreats
hand
on
on
the
a large
third plane.
golden table.
And
A
on
crystal
low,
top
it
appears.
reaches the
And
interior
around the table,
of the
12
Earth,
chairs
to
appear.
Virgo and
In the
Pelor's
center of the
kingdom.
table is a beautifully carved jade
Leonora
vase
turns
filled
to
with
you
roses.
explaining
Some
that
of
this
them
invention and
buds
many
just
more
opening,
will be
and
brought
their
forth for
wonderful
mankind's
fragrance
use in
filling
the
the
golden
entire
age.
room. Saint Germain takes the
Now
chair at the
motions
head of the
it's time
table
to move on.
and asks you and
Lenora
Leonora
leads you
to
to
take
a
the
long
chairs at the
corridor
opposite
constructed
end.
of walls and floors.
The Master
of
says
brilliantly
that
polished
while this is
purple
really my
crystalline
audience hall, at
material.
times I use it as a
At the
private dining
corridor's
room
end,
for special
you
guests.
see the most
I know you are
ornate
wondering what the other
entryway
chairs are
door,
for. Well, we are
made of a
expecting
gold
guests.
material,
And
studded
suddenly,
with
in a
thousands
flash,
of
in the
gleaming
empty seats
amethyst
appear
crystals.
other ascended beings.
Lenora raises her right
Saint Germain gives the
hand, and the most
introductions.
heavenly chime.
This is Ascended Master Godfrey and Lotus to my right, then David Lloyd, Daniel and
At the
Mrs.
toning
Nada
of the
Rayborn and
chimes,
their
the
children,
door opened,
Rex and Nada
exposing a
Rayborn,
purple
and the other
tiled
Ascended
vaulted
Master youth
walkway,
are
more than
Bob and
600
Pearl
feet
Singleton.
long, with a
A
24
crystal
foot
goblet
high
containing a golden liquid appears at each
wondrous
place.
anticipation.
Ascended Master Rex says,
Enter.
"Please raise your glasses with me in tribute to our holy brother, Sanctus Germanus. I remember well the day when there appeared to me that holy presence of life in the Ascended Master Saint Germain with his great promise of victory and the victory of the Ascension, not only for my life stream, but for all the youth of America. Saint Germain, we love you. All hail the Knight Commander." The whole table joins in. All hail the Knight Commander. All hail the God of Freedom. All hail Saint Germain, the hierarch of Aquarius. God bless you, Saint Germain. Saint Germain looks at each one at the table and says, "Beloved hearts, here in my retreat, we give the salutation upon meeting and parting, not God bless you, but may you pass every test. Is this not commendable and noteworthy of the devotees of my heart who are determined to follow in my footsteps?" Now on to our topic of the day, says Saint Germain. In this retreat, we house many marvelous and advanced scientific inventions to be used for the benefit of humanity. One of these great inventions, as you may be aware, Blessed Chila, is the atomic accelerator. This amazing, real, physical machine is a mighty healing agent. It quickly establishes perfect equilibrium in the brain structure and the balancing of the mental and emotional activities of a human being. I tell you, there is no invention or discovery that has or ever will bless mankind to such a great degree. The atomic accelerator was used on Atlantis, although it was not in its fully perfected state then, and it will be used a great deal in the future, especially in the coming golden age, as a way of quickening the atomic vibration of the whole human body and to assist in raising the physical flesh atom into its divine purity and structure, the electronic body, or what is called the deathless solar body. Ascended Master Jesus gave humanity the proof wonderfully, conclusively, for the proving unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel that death is not real, and that the soul can transcend itself and the cycles of karma in time and space by the glorious spirit of the resurrection. And he went a step further, saying, the works that I shall do, ye shall do also, and greater works than these shall ye do. While all do not need to accomplish it in exactly the same way as he did, yet every human being sometimes, somewhere, must raise the outer or atomic structure into the imperishable, electronic, ascended master light body where no imperfection exists. This electronic body remains forever, eternally youthful, beautiful, strong, perfect, and free from every conceivable limitation. In this body, individuals can and do function wherever they choose in the universe, for in it there are no barriers of time, place, space, nor condition. In this way, we take ourselves out of the hands of the reaper called death, which is not real for you. It is only real for the seed of the wicked, who are the tares remaining only until the harvest. There is no death for the children of God. Born in him, they shall return to him. And so we shall consciously enter into that consciously into that perfect life, which is the divine light and eternal inheritance of every one of God's children. It has been under my sponsorship that many lives have done this. Ascending from this retreat, for example, the Ascended Master K-17, when he met Mr. Ballard in 1931, he was not ascended then. He gained his ascension shortly thereafter here in the Cave of Symbols with the assistance of the Atomic Accelerator. Your own Florence Jeanette Miller, now Lady Christine, was also taken to this retreat, where in the company of beloved Rex and Nader, her soul, wrapped in her finer bodies, was seated in the Atomic Accelerator while her physical vehicle lay unconscious in the hospital. This process gave her a tremendous assistance toward her ascension. And sitting here at this table now, an Ascended Master himself, Daniel Rayborn, was raised into the light by the Atomic Accelerator. Please tell us about it, blessed brother. I will never forget, it was the night of the 27th of July, 1931, says Daniel Rayborn. Many Ascended Masters came for my ascension ritual. At 11 o'clock that night, myself, my family, and guests were escorted into the chamber where the marvelous Atomic Accelerator was waiting. The light within the chamber was intense. Many tiny points of dazzling light darted to and fro in the atmosphere continually. I seated myself in the chair, and the 24 present formed a circle about the accelerator, with Saint Germain directly behind me and Godfrey just in front. Nada, my twin ray, stood within the circle. When all were ready, Saint Germain commanded the individual attention of each one to be held steadily upon the presence and supremacy of the I Am, and that of the Master Jesus. Suddenly, like a flash of lightning, a circle of the most intense, dazzling white light surrounded me, drawing steadily towards the chair. The light within my four lower bodies expanded and met the circle of light without. I began to rise slowly to a distance of about 6 feet above the accelerator, the light within me continuing to increase. Nada, my twin ray, rose also and drew toward me as we met in divine embrace. The next instant, the face of the Master Jesus shone out in an aura of gold, pink, and blue above us. We smiled radiantly, and looked upward as a great ray of intense white light descended. It enveloped us, clothing us in bodies of everlasting light, the robe of immortality that shines brighter than the sun at noonday, blessing our glorious union as we pass beyond all care and limitation into our eternal perfection of being. I tell you, oh, the glory and the surge of power, the supreme blessing, the contact with the angelic host, but above all, the great feeling of union with my own mighty I Am presence. It was like standing under the sun at noonday and gazing up into the heavens where not a star was visible. And then suddenly, experiencing the hour of midnight and the sky filled with beautiful points of light, I became aware of regions of the cosmos which up to that moment I had not conceived of. And I felt a wonderful kinship with minds and hearts, a reunion with those from whom I had long suffered absence. I knew on that instant that nothing in this world could be compared to the Ascension. The final thought that passed through my mind as I rose into the great light to be absorbed by it was, oh, if I could only tell them. And I realized afterwards by reflection that this thought has filled the mind and consciousness of everyone who has ascended. For all have had the same desire, oh, if I could only tell them in that glorious moment of the Ascension. This is the desire that we of the ascended hosts feel. The desire to reach down into the human consciousness with all of its density, with all its suffocating conditions, and to say, oh, do put all that you have into your search for your divinity, that you might receive the blessing of the Ascension at the conclusion of this life. I tell you, Blessed Sheila, it was such a wonderful experience when I first came into contact with this great master, Saint Germain, when I realized that he was a vibrant, living person, a great ascended master, one who could come from the great cosmic ethers with the swiftness of blue lightning and make himself known and felt. The tangibility of this great master flooded my being, and I was wholly aware of the fact that I was in the presence of great divinity. Oh, how he took me under his tutelage and gave me the privilege of sitting in the atomic accelerator. After this experience, I said, words can never describe the marvels I have experienced. It was the first time I began to know the real meaning of life. He engendered in me great faith and courage and made known unto me that it was the wonder of God's love that would safely pull me through all conditions, that ultimately, I would be given the gift of the Ascension. And ultimately it was my contact with Saint Germain prior to my ascension that propelled me forward on the spiritual path. I tell you, realize how fortunate you are, beloved Sheila, in having the blessing of the wonderful atomic accelerator, one marvelous result of the love and work of our blessed Saint Germain. Great has been his love, his service, and the gift of himself to humanity. Saint Germain says, I would now like to pay tribute to Daniel's wife. This woman was on this planet just a few short years ago and wore a mortal form just as you do now. This prima donna of the opera with a voice that is beauty and power, that is magic, truly the glory of heaven poured out upon earth. She is now the Lady Master Nada Rayborn, very prophetic in a way, since she was born of the divine ray. I want to tell you that I have never seen a more beautiful spirit, a more ethereal radiance, a greater power, a greater measure of culture that I have perceived in Mrs. Nada Rayborn. I would like this Lady Master to now tell her story. Mrs. Nada Rayborn now speaks. What a happy reunion it was. What a happy reunion it is when an entire family and even an extended family finds itself ascended in the light and free in the etheric octave. I come then with my beloved Daniel and with our children Rex and Nada also ascended. My song today is a song of the spirit, and my voice may be heard at night in the various retreats when the members of the Great White Brotherhood are assembled together. For ever so frequently at the request of beloved Saint Germain and my beloved Daniel Rayborn and my son Rex and daughter Nada and others of the ascended hosts, I still stand before the multitude of the hosts ascended and give a rendering to the heart of my own presence. I pour forth my melodic interpretations of the universe, and I rejoice continually in the privilege of so doing. I would speak to you of music as an instrument to call home many souls. They shall know the way, beloved, for they shall follow the music all the way home to God. It was in the opera where my beloved Daniel first met me. We recognized in each other an inner something that grew stronger and stronger as time went on. Later, we learned we were twin rays or twin souls, which of course accounts for the many wonderful things that have happened to us since. I want you to know, Blessed Sheila, that I had an incredible experience after my passing. When I made my transition in the early part of the 20th century, I was given secret instruction and assistance by the Great White Brotherhood and attained my ascension. After I passed through the change you call death, 12 ascended masters, including Saint Germain, appeared around me. Surrounding me, they showed me how I could raise the atomic structure of my physical body into the pure electronic body, the immortal vehicle which you call the deathless solar body, and which we call the ascended master light body. My family had no idea about this until years later, but had they looked in the casket just before burial, they would have found no body there. As the process of raising gradually took place, I became more and more aware of blazing light filling my entire body. I felt the most marvelous radiant energy surge in and through me, sweeping away every vestige of resistance and imperfection, and quickening my consciousness. I became more and more aware of my mighty I Am presence, and finally this presence stood before me, visible, tangible, and very real. Steadily and powerfully, I felt my physical body drawn into and enveloped by my glorious God self. And when I stepped out of the cemetery, I could scarcely realize how transcendent I had become. The old human limited activities of my consciousness were raised into that alert sense of freedom and unlimited use of wisdom and power. And I was shown very clearly, now that I was aware of this greater activity, that I must put it to use. You know that I did a great deal of work in connection with opera. I will tell you a secret coming from the higher octaves. Your talents are never removed from you by your ascension in the light. They are enhanced, and limitation is removed from them. The law of life is to give, for only by giving oneself can one expand. And from this giving comes a fuller sense of freedom, beauty, joy, and service that must be rendered to those who still remain unascended. Thus we all move from glory unto glory. Saint Germain is preparing you for your ascension every day of your life. Trust him, beloved. To one and to all I say, onward, victory. Young Lady Master Nada now stands saying, our mother left us early in life, she explains. In fact, it was shortly after I was born. Our beloved Master Saint Germain came to Mother He explained that she had work to do in the higher planes of life, and that he would always hold Rex and me in his great, loving, protecting care. Thank you, our beloved Master. Saint Germain explains, during the Ascension ritual, the soul is united with the white fire body of the I Am Presence and becomes permanently clothed with the deathless solar body. And in most cases, this does not require the raising of the physical body. Rather, the soul itself may take flight from the mortal coil and be translated through the ascension process. However, when a physical ascension takes place, the physical body is transformed by and superseded by the ascended master light body. The physical form will grow lighter and lighter, and the body begins to rise into the atmosphere with the weightlessness of helium, the gravitational pull being loosened and the form enveloped by the light of the externalized glory that man knew with the Father in the beginning. And thus the earthly body is transformed into a glorious spiritual body, changed on the instant by the total immersion in the great God flame. Saint Germain now turns to Ascended Master David Lloyd, sitting on his right, and says, in his final embodiment, David Lloyd lived as a young boy in India. His father passed on when he was 20, leaving a large sum of money to support him. An unascended master told David Lloyd that one day he would find a man on a mountain in North America who would hand him a crystal cup containing the elixir of life, and that he would assist him in raising his body. The Ascended Master David Lloyd now stands in honor of the Master Sanctus Germanus and says, "O wondrous, effulgent, liquid light, how beautiful is this diadem, diamond-like, sparkling, yet flowing crystal stream, the elixir of life. I come then to you today mindful of the glorious appearing in my own life of the victorious achievement of the Ascension. I give to you and pledge to you my sacred word this day that the love of God has programmed for you all a similar opportunity, a victorious overcoming of the vicissitudes of life and the darkness of this world. Do not be overconcerned, beloved hearts of light, simply because you have failed to attain in previous moments of struggle and search. Be not dismayed, be not affrighted, nor consider yourselves as an offcast from the gates of heaven, for heaven beckons and comes very close. Many times as I have journeyed through the realm of experiences in the earth life, I also found that struggle seemed to overcome me, and discouragement aimed directly at dissuading me from the search caused me momentarily to pause. The wise do it not, and yet I do not think of myself at that former state as always acting wisely, but persistently. For I was persistent to storm the very gates of the citadel of heaven, and I continued to pursue the spiritual path, even when some around me sought to discourage me. Yet the eye of God beckoned, the perception of God continued to call me, and I knew that it was a matter of divine and infinite destiny that one day I should receive the gift of the Ascension. Yet, when that moment came, I knew it not, and scarcely as it was happening did I know it. Yet so wondrous was it when I began to feel that buoyant joy, that caress of the infinite upon my finite being that dissolved it all together. And in its place, almost as the sea spewed forth the beautiful, compassionate experience of molding me in cosmic form into the infinitude of God's thought. The perfect body appeared, the perfect mind appeared, the perfect soul ruled the world of my being. A surge of infinite strength came forth, and I rose into the air, into the arms of a similar dissolvement as that had happened previously to beloved Jesus. For a cloud too of infinite cosmic love received me out of the sight of men. And in the bond of cosmic compassion, I expanded my knowledge into the infinite as cadences of loveliness, receding into a far and distant future, which appeared before me then as a mountain of hope. And I entered into the joy of God, and the joy of God filled my soul, and darkness vanquished altogether. And in the mystery of being, I understood that others like myself would follow also in the wake of my experience, and would come to realize at last that the infinite lamp of God was always lit, awaiting the return home of the prodigal child and the lifting up of each individual who passed through this magnificent gift of attainment with the vestments of immortality. I, David Lloyd, pledge to all of you who are serious about the ascension, the bequeathing of my momentum according to your own dedication and the measure thereof. As you shall give, so shall you receive. This is the promise of God. It is the promise of your Holy Christ self. It is the promise of your mighty I am presence. It is the promise of life unto life, the speaking and the echo and the reception. For joy and peace and love and the Holy Spirit abide forever. As a mantle, they shall cover the earth. As a mantle, as you will, so they shall cover you with the gratitude and grace of God for man, his creation. We are also his servants. Peace be unto you. The Ascended Master Rex explains, David Lloyd is among the masters who have made the physical ascension, as Nada and I, Bob and Pearl. This absolute truth is written in the records of Akasha. And I tell you that those who are called to the physical ascension must have had many thousands of years of preparation, as well as many initiations of the trial by fire. Our bodies and therefore we ourselves were prepared, and we could be received as candidates for the physical ascension. As you know, in order for the soul to ascend, the candidate must have balanced at least 51% of his karma. In order for the physical form to make a physical ascension, candidate must have balanced between 95 and 100% of his karma. It was our beloved Saint Germain who desired profoundly that this example and record should be recorded in Akasha, so that when the golden age would come forth, those evolutions who should embody, should have increasing attainment, and who should have passed through initiations parallel to our own, might also experience the physical ascension, which to this day remains an exception to the rule. Saint Germain turns to Rex and asks him to describe the acceleration he experienced with the assistance of the Ascension chair. Rex said, at Saint Germain's prompting, I seated myself on the atomic accelerator. There was first a glow of soft rose light that surrounded me, gradually changing into gold, blue, and then an intense white with a glorious tint of blue still remaining. My form did not entirely disappear from view, but in about 10 minutes as I stepped down from the chair, my eyes were ablaze with the light of the mighty I Am Presence. Young Nada speaks. Now, when I sat on the atomic accelerator, my experience in the chair was a bit different. I seated myself in the chair, and instantly the light surrounded me and became so bright and brilliant as to be a dazzling sun. My form completely disappeared within its wondrous glow. I seemed to float so lightly as I stepped off from the chair, and rays of intense light continued to dart forth from the upper part of my body for some time. Pearl explains, when I took my place in the chair, in less than 5 minutes, my form completely disappeared. So dazzling was the white light. This lasted possibly 10 minutes before I emerged from it. As I stepped down from the chair, the light followed as if to caress me. Godfrey speaks now. When I took my place, I felt millions of points of light pierce my flesh as the greater force from within the electrons was released through the atomic structure. At first, I wanted to jump right out of the body I was using and claim the full freedom of my mighty I Am presence. Soon, I became adjusted to it, and then a feeling of the most joyous exaltation filled my being, a sensation no words can describe. Saint Germain adds, just as Godfrey was the key to David Lloyd's immortal freedom and the only one through whom that blessing would come, so that experience was an initiation for Godfrey, that he could only come through David Lloyd. By this initiation, he rose in service as a messenger of the hierarchy. In a like manner, we are all keys to one another's victory, and we must be alert to affirm that victory for one another, for in so doing, we rise up the ladder of initiation. Saint Germain invites the group to come to his crystal chamber.
Saint Germain stands and motions all to follow him. He leads you to the far end of the audience hall on the southern side, where you pass through a concealed door into a narrow passage which suddenly becomes illumined by a soft white light that shines upon the hewn, highly polished granite walls. You walk for nearly half a mile when you come to an enormous door of solid gold, wonderfully carved with very ancient writing. At Saint Germain's touch, the great door opens and we enter. You're immediately blinded by a dazzling white light, what looks like the white heat of a great furnace. Gradually, your inner sight begins to adjust to the luminous intensity, and what you see is almost beyond description. You stand in a magical crystal chamber, an incredible crystal-lined cave formed completely from sparkling gemstones. Its floor is covered with perfectly faceted crystalline blocks. The ceiling is covered with the same occult symbols found in the entry cave. These symbols are focuses of the rainbow rays of God and geometric keys that release photic energy that blazes throughout this entire chamber, explains the Master. The beauty of it makes you speechless, as well as fascinated with wonder and admiration. You follow the Master towards the center of the chamber, where the marvelous atomic accelerator sits. The Ascension chair is aglow with great currents of light, charged with the very essence of life itself. It looks as if it were made of pure gold, but Saint Germain tells you it is a combination of gold and several other substances as yet unknown to the outer world. I tell you, to be in this chamber is a great privilege, explains Saint Germain. It is here where initiates of the Brotherhood, like the Rayborns, who have proven their merit by service and devotion to the light, are bidden to sit in the atomic accelerator, to have the atoms and molecules of the four lower bodies stepped up by the currents of the Ascension flame in preparation for the ritual of the return, the alchemical marriage that is the soul's reunion with the Spirit. Suddenly, a brilliant flash of light appears behind the chair, and materializing in front of you are Lord Sanakumara and Lady Master Venus. Ribbons of light and rainbow rays radiate from their hearts and from the hearts of their blessed angels that surround them. The lovely Lady Venus speaks. Precious children of the sun, we come bearing good and great tidings of great joy. Sanat Kumara and I released a dispensation delivered to the messengers Mark and Elizabeth Clare Prophet on July 6, 1968, at the Freedom Class held at La Tourelle, where we tried an experiment for everyone who has enough faith in their own divine presence to accept it. Sanat Kumar and I secured a dispensation whereby Chilos of the Great White Brotherhood could receive from the heart of Almighty God the precious essence, the core of the Ascension flame, 3% of the energy of this atomic accelerator, this astounding apparatus invented by Saint Germain, preparing them for the ritual of the consummate love whereby the soul is wed to spirit in the actual ascension. She motions you to come forward. Visualize yourself taking your place in the chair, sitting with your body perfectly at ease, completely relaxed, with your arms resting comfortably on the arms of the chair. Remember, through the power of bilocation, you can be in two places at once. As you sit in your physical body in your altar room or home, you can simultaneously be sitting in the atomic accelerator chair in the cave of symbols in your finer bodies. And as you sit in the chair, it gives you the wonderful feeling of marvelous regal comfort, a most ecstatic heavenly sensation. Sanat Kumara stands in front of you, facing you, while Lady Venus takes her position directly opposite behind the chair, while Saint Germain and others join hands in a circle around you and the atomic accelerator. Lady Master Venus commands, now in preparation for that future time and date whereby your soul will be wed to spirit in the actual ascension, begin to meditate on the great God flame. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath, slowly inhaling, and then purposefully exhaling, centering in that secret place, the cathedral in your heart. Focus your full attention on your mighty I Am presence above. Call now to the presence of the I Am within you and ask silently that you may receive that which we desire to do for you. Sound the O. The currents around the chair begin to glow brighter and brighter. The very atmosphere around you becomes charged with pure electronic light. First, with the delicate glow of a soft pink rose light that gradually changes into gold, then blue, and finally an intense, dazzling white, as bright as the noonday sun. You feel millions of points of light pierce your flesh. A profound metamorphosis is taking place as more and more impurities are thrown off and consumed by the Ascension flame. Your flesh begins to appear perfectly transparent. The blood in your veins appears as liquid, golden light. Your eyes, no matter what color they currently are, shine with a beautiful pale violet. Your throat chakra glows with an intense blue-white light. The spiritual eye in the center of your forehead becomes an elongated God flame rising upward. The long hair of the higher mental body appears as pure gold on your head. And suddenly, like a flash of lightning, a circle of the most intense, dazzling white light presses out towards the walls of the chamber. Meanwhile, the light within you intensifies. You begin to lose the sense of being weighted down by gravity. Lighter and lighter grows your physical form. You feel that you could float many feet above the chair. You hear your soul saying, "Here I am, Lord, here I am. Day by day I'm becoming more of God, the presence of the I am within me. Day by day I'm discarding the outworn garments of my former self. Here, take them away, I do not want them. They no longer represent me. I wore these when I was not the fullness of who I am." Your entire being merges with the white light. Your old garments are transformed. You now become clothed in a white robe, the seamless garment of the Christ. All of a sudden, you realize how transcendent you have become. You are shining in a new way. You hear the celestial choirs singing the anthem of eternal praise and victory unto the light of God that never fails. The soul speaks again, saying, "For at last I am at peace in thy love, in thy direction, in thy clear seeing, and in thy wondrous creation of my being in thee. I am thine own, O Lord, because I am thyself. I have realized thyself, O God, as myself, and therefore I am coming home. I am coming home." Words cannot even begin to express your gratitude. You now know, understand, that nothing in this world could compare to the Ascension. In this tremendously exalted state, you now feel the desire that the ascended hosts feel after attaining their ascension. The desire to send forth untold blessings to humanity, to impart to mankind the self-same yearning to attain the ascension. You now consciously send forth the mighty power of divine love to bless and illumine humanity more powerfully than you have ever conceived possible. Pour a mighty love to humanity in a silent prayer that all might be ready to receive this same glorious illumination. And in that instant, there it is. Your mighty I Am presence stands before you in all of its visible, tangible, and very real glory. And in this powerful moment, you feel your physical body drawn into and enveloped by your glorious God Self. Enveloped in that light of the externalized glory which you knew with the Father in the beginning. You are Brahman. Brahman thou art.